Today we're checking out this MOC from LesDiy. If you haven't heard of LesDiy, they license tons of different MOCs from lots of designers and then assemble all the pieces for you along with the designer's instructions. I actually have my friend's building license on their site, so I was curious with how everything would turn out. LesDiy sent me the set to check out and share with y'all, so let's get into it. I got this set a little while ago and I'm just now getting to it, but I think it took about 2, maybe 3 weeks for it to arrive. I don't think they start to assemble the set until it's ordered, kind of like those print-on-demand clothing sites. The MOC came in a generic box, which is fine, and there's a sticker crediting the designer on top, which is nice. Inside is a QR code for you to download the digital instructions, along with all of the numbered bags of pieces. Now there are two sides when it comes to critiquing the set. There's the design, in this case by Sugar Bricks, and then there's the actual set that was assembled and produced by LesDiy. So just keep that in mind during my review. My first frustration or complaint with this set is the numbered bags. They aren't mentioned in the instructions at all, which I get. The designer isn't involved with the packaging process. So you'd think it's no big deal, just open the first bag and when you run out of pieces, open the next number. And initially it seems great because all the number ones are bagged together and so on, but it's not great. The parts in the bags aren't really in order at all. I mean, generally the later numbers deal with later parts of the instructions, but there are pieces needed across lots of different bags. For example, there were tons of bricks in bag 1, which don't get used until much later, and then there were tiles I needed on the second step that I didn't find until bag 4. This got pretty frustrating really fast as I couldn't find some of the pieces I needed. I kept a list of the missing parts so I could keep an eye out for them when opening the next bag, but that got pretty tiring. I was tempted to just open all the bags and sort through all the pieces like you would with a MOC pieced out through Bricklink, but I ended up just opening the next number until I found the pieces I was looking for. And then I'd use all those bricks up until more were missing and I'd just open the next numbered bag. While frustrating, this wouldn't be too bad if it was the only issue with the parts. But there were also quite a few parts that were just missing from the set. Well, let me back up. What I think actually happened is that some changes were made to the design without updating the instructions. LesDiy got the instructions from the creator. Some of those pieces probably weren't made by their supplier, so they changed out the pieces for others but didn't update the instructions. For example, these minifig stands in step 18 were missing, and it wasn't until I finished the whole set that I realized they wanted me to swap them out for some 1x tiles and plates. Similarly, in step 400, these valley roof pieces are actually 1x2 bricks and 1x2 slopes that you use next to each other. This happens several times, like using this modified brick behind this picture instead of the longer brick that the instructions call for. Or at least that's what I think they intended me to do. Other examples include combining 1x2 modified bricks and splitting tall arches into short ones with 1x1 bricks. Most of these changes aren't bad, they just should have been updated in the instructions. Some of the changes are even good, like extra prints being included and extra interior details. The problem is, it's up to you to figure them out. But let's pause for a second and look at this MOC. I picked this MOC to try out because while I really like the Brick Bank modular from LEGO, it's crazy expensive on the aftermarket and I doubt I'll ever get it. So I thought this would be a good alternative to that. I like all the destructiveness and decay that Sugar Bricks added to the set, like the torn up pavement and broken windows. I also really like how the white bricks have yellowed into tan ones, which is a real problem we all know about with our sets. The first floor has a broken up sidewalk with grass and a bush growing through it. The main decorative entrance facade has fallen down and is laying out front, which is a great detail. All the lower windows are boarded up and the upper glass sections are broken. The clock has fallen down on the corner, as well as most of the laundromat sign and one of its door frames. Half of one of the columns has fallen down too. Inside the laundry you see one of the machines is on the ground and the floor tiles are all messed up. Inside the bank, the big chandelier is lying on the lobby floor, and the teller windows are missing. It also looks like the big vault door has been cut off with this torch and saw, and looks pretty empty inside. The second floor has all those tan pieces representing yellowed bricks on the outside, along with a bunch of broken windows. There's a table in the corner, and I added that drawer and first aid kit with the extra pieces in the set. The manager's office has some printed broken windows, along with a desk, a couple of prints, and a chair that I added with the extra pieces. The roof section has a bunch of good damage to the parapet wall, and most of the windows are missing in the skylight. I'm not sure why the laundromat's roof turned to dark red, but I think it looks pretty good. I actually added a few details up here with the extra pieces that came with the set. I put some tiles in and below the door frame to make it look like it had been busted down. I added a little ladder here so one could get up to the upper roof section, and I added this binocular stand in the corner as a lookout spot. The instructions for the MOC were pretty good overall. There were a few steps where you can't see where you're supposed to attach the pieces, which is annoying, and then there were a few smaller design flaws. For example, the grass stems don't fit surrounded by all these tile pieces and keep getting knocked over. However, after I finished building, I realized that LesDiy actually provided some matching 1x1 round plates to solve this problem, but just didn't tell me in the instructions. Another minor complaint with the grass is that it's supposed to be olive green, not lime green. I assume olive green wasn't available from their suppliers. It still kind of works in this MOC because the grass could be radioactive or something, but I'd prefer the original color. In the end, there are about 35 missing pieces with this MOC, but about half of them were just intended swaps that they don't tell you about. The missing parts are kind of frustrating, especially since there are a ton of extra parts, some that don't even exist in the set. However, it wasn't that big of a deal with this specific MOC because of its apocalyptic styling. In this case, it didn't really matter if a piece changed slightly or was a wrong color, like this black 1x8 tile on the front, but I'm sure lots of MOCs would need those specific pieces in those colors. So in that case, it might require ordering a few pieces from Bricklink to finish the set. Overall, the parts are pretty good quality. I don't think they're Go bricks because some didn't feel quite that good, but I didn't have any connection problems and there was only one brick with a defect, which again, in this set, still kind of worked. There were also a few parts that didn't work as intended in the MOC. The set comes with the older style jumper plates, so sometimes the anti-stud underneath gets in the way. And similarly, some of their 1x2 tiles have an anti-stud as well, which can get in the way of the intended design. Not a big deal, but might require replacing with some of your own parts. Also, the tiles are the older style without a groove on the bottom, so make sure you place them in the right spot, or you're going to need a knife to pry them back up. I know it sounded like a lot of negatives, but there were also some great positives with this set. For example, they included numerous additions like the printed tiles, the big cracked window panes, and some furniture. But the most notable addition was all of these minifigs. The set comes with 10 great looking minifigs that aren't pictured on their site at all for some reason. I don't know why, because these would definitely be a great selling point, but whatever, it was a great surprise for me. You get 5 non-infected people, 4 zombies, and a skeleton corpse. There aren't any pictures of the figs or instructions on how they should look, but it's pretty easy to match up their arms and assemble them. You also get a pretty cool set of weapons to go along with them. We have a bearded macho guy who I gave a bandana, Tommy gun, and sickle to, a guy in a gray jacket with a sniper and grenade, a guy in a red sweater with a rifle and a German stick grenade, and a lady in pink with a submachine gun and machete. All 4 of them have pretty intense facial expressions and look ready for the end of the world. But then you have this scared looking guy who appears to have been bitten on his stomach, maybe because all he had was a shovel and a canteen. For the zombies, we have an old bodybuilder with gray hair and a sledgehammer. I don't know if zombies use weapons or not, maybe they were just holding onto them when they turned. We have a flat top guy with a knife and eating what is probably an intestine or something, and a nurse who I gave a chicken leg to because I didn't know what to give her. And then we have 2 bank security guards. The one in light blue is a zombie and has a pistol, and the other is a skeleton still clenching his shotgun. I think all of these minifigs look absolutely amazing and are such a welcomed addition to the set. I can't believe they didn't advertise their inclusion. Lastly, the price for this MOC is obviously the biggest positive for the set. It sells for only $130 on LesDiy. If you were to source all these parts yourself on Bricklink, it would cost you a whopping $360, plus probably $25 in shipping, so almost $400 versus $130 is a no-brainer if you ask me. Plus you get all of those great minifigs. So yeah, there are frustrations with the pieces, and you might even have to buy a few replacements, but if you expect that going into it, or if it doesn't really matter, like in this case with the apocalypse theme, then I'd say it's definitely worth the huge price difference. But that's just my opinion, feel free to let me know what you think in the comments. As for the MOC itself, I really like how it turned out, and now I want to get the other apocalypse buildings that Sugarbricks designed. Anyway, that's all I got. I hope you have a safe, zombie-free day.